Great Scott. Can you believe that? Hi, welcome to a future episode of Cooking with the Kansas Dad. Today is Thursday, October 22nd, 2015. That means we are in the future. Yesterday was the day that Marty and Doc Brown traveled to the future. That was yesterday. That means that's all in our past. So for this future episode of Cooking with the Kansas Dad, we're going to be making something that has absolutely nothing to do with Back to the Future. We're going to make some green bean casserole. Now, green bean casserole wouldn't be green bean casserole without, the French's brand usually. The fried onions come in a little can on top. Don't have any of those. I actually decided I was going to make this without going to the store at all. So everything that we're making for this green bean casserole is something we have here at the house, which means I went out in the backyard and picked a bunch of onions. So I'm going to get these cleaned up and chopped up, and we're going to fry these. That'll be our first step before we can even get to making green bean casserole. Onions are all cut up now, and onions. Now it's time to fry our onions, and I'm going to use my awesome wok that I got at IKEA up in Kansas City. Not necessarily the appropriate thing for frying onions, but it looks really cool. I wanted to show it off, and also I think it's going to make it a little easier to see what we're doing over here on the old camera B area. So we've got a wok, or whatever pan you're using. Go ahead and kick that baby up to high. Then get your industrial size vat of cooking oil that I always have on hand. Glug, glug, glug. A little bit more. As opposed to just sauteing in a little bit of oil, you want to get the onions where they submerged in the oil so they actually fry up. Flux capacitor fluxing, oil heating. I think we're good to go ahead and start on our onions here. So, hey, one fell in there. Here's what you want to do. I'm going to put the oil in the onions. Scratch that, reverse it. Okay, we're going to put our onions into the oil, and you want to go ahead and keep them in there until there's significant color change. You want them to get brown and crispy, but you do not want to leave them in there too long. Stick this in Mr. Fusion. I'm pretty sure we could get 1.21 gigawatts out of this. Okay, and you want to occasionally stir these. Oh, this is such an amazing smell. I love the smell of frying onions. So I pretty much love the smell of anything frying. Obviously, I'm a big fan of the frying. So upon request of one of my fans the other day, I posted an album to our Facebook page. That is all the various t-shirts I've worn over the years. We're now in our 5th season of Cooking with the Kansas Dad. Today's t-shirt, one of my personal favorites. Basically, we've got our kind of Voltron robot here, but one leg is the van from the A-Team, one leg is Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters, one arm is Kit from Knight Rider, one arm is General Lee from Dukes of Hazzard. We've got the out-of-time license plate right here from the DeLorean from Back to the Future, and Optimus Prime. So I love this. Hey, we should take these off now. I think they went a little past the brown that they were wanting us to go. Yeah, oh well. They're fine. It's fine. It's all good. It's all good. Boy, that didn't take very long to go from perfect brown to... Okay, so our onions might have been in the fryer a little bit longer than I intended to. I don't think it's a huge deal, though. I mean, they're not burnt. They're dark. They're not burnt. It tastes like onions. I mean, fried onions. It's fine. No problems. No worries. All right, so we're going to set these aside. We're not going to need them for a bit. And we'll take our casserole dish. Now we're going to combine the beans, the soup, probably could have used a smaller casserole dish. I definitely could have used a smaller casserole dish. I do actually take cans of cream of mushroom and cans of cream of chicken soup. Just pop the lid, grab a spoon, sit down on the couch and eat them. And there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, this is actually kind of bugging me, so I'm going to switch to a smaller size casserole dish. Not feeding the whole fire truck and army. Actually, considering that my 2 oldest daughters have already moved out of the house, you know, there are less mouths to feed. Okay, this is looking considerably better as far as a nice size pan for what we're doing here. So, okay, now we're going to take a teaspoon of soy sauce. And as Doc Brown said, I just figured, what the hell. A little bit more. Dash of black pepper. Now, let's mix that shiz. Okay, the oven has heated up to 350 degrees, so we're going to take our green bean casserole. Okay, the green bean casserole is now in the oven, so the next thing we need to do is travel in time forward to 1 hour and take it out. Flux capacitor flexing. It's now 1 hour into the future. Let's take this out. Alright. Looks nice and bubbly on there. Now it's not completely done. Now that we've got to this stage, we're going to take our onions, sprinkle these over the top. And this isn't actually part of the recipe, but you know how cheesy our show is. So let's sprinkle a little bit of shredder over here. Not a whole lot, but this will give it a nice little bit of a nice little layer of cheese on top. Now we're going to go back in for another 5 minutes. Okay, we went another 5 minutes, and we're going to take it out. Oh, look at that. We've got the crispy onions on top. The cheese has a nice melt over it. I present to you green bean casserole. And this has been a future episode of Cooking with the Kansas Dad.